Hello everyone and welcome back to LewisFiction and another episode of my Spider-Man animated series. If you have not seen the first 7 episodes, then make sure to go watch them before you watch this so you can catch up. But with that being said, let's get straight into the episode. So this episode will take us slightly away from the main story. As we know, for the past couple of episodes, we have been focusing mainly on Peter Parker and Carly Cooper's main relationship, and that has been the focal point of the entire series up to this point, developing Peter's and Carly's character and developing their relationship that they have gotten ever since they met each other at Frontline. However, this episode will start to focus more on that relationship that Spider-Man is now developing with Norman Osborn. As we know, the last couple of episodes, Norman and Spider-Man's stories in this series have eventually crossed paths. And after the battle at Oscorp Industries, Norman became infatuated with Spider-Man's intelligence. Not just his intelligence in combat, but also his scientific knowledge as well. It's also key to note that Norman doesn't actually know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man at this point in the series. He is still acquainted with him as Spider-Man and nothing more. However, Norman still wants to take Spider-Man under his wing. Norman also, remember, has a massive rivalry with Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. This episode will continue to explore the idea that Fisk has a massive grasp over New York City. We will be reminded, as the first couple of episodes in this series showed us, that Fisk has full control over New York City. However, in this episode, unlike the first couple of episodes, there will be a few inklings here and there that potentially his reign over New York may be coming to an end very, very soon. There will be some sly whispers throughout the Underground and the Magia crime family that Wilson Fisk is losing his grip over New York, and it is coming from one place and one place only. And that is right, it's coming from Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn has been building his empire over the last couple of episodes, and I think this episode we are going to take a step back as an audience and really show the city as a whole and the control that Wilson Fisk is losing to Norman Osborn. Norman wants power. Just as we have explored Norman's character for the majority of the season, we know that he wants power. And in this episode, it's going to represent through the city that potentially the city is falling away from Wilson Fisk and it may be falling into the grasp of Norman Osborn. But Norman Osborn won't stop there. Like we mentioned at the start of the episode, Norman will start to see Spider-Man as a part of his plans. Norman will take Spider-Man under his wing, and that's what the main focus of the episode will be about. Spider-Man will start to visit Norman at Oscorp very regularly. They will be catching up with one another, and Spider-Man will almost become Norman's right-hand man. Not in the way that Spider-Man would do his bidding as such, but Norman sees Spider-Man as an ally in winning the war over Wilson Fisk and eventually becoming the mayor of New York City. As we know, Norman is a shady man behind the scenes, but on the surface, Norman comes across as very charismatic, and this episode will represent that, as Peter Parker takes a liking for Norman under the mask. Spider-Man at this point in time sees a real ally in Norman Osborn and likes the friendship that he has developed with him. And also, we know that Spider-Man has been in battle with Wilson Fisk trying to uncover him as the Kingpin the whole season, so he will also see Norman as an ally in his fight against the Kingpin. This episode, however, will also focus on the newly introduced Dr. Otto Octavius, who was introduced in the last episode. The tease that we got in the last episode of Dr. Otto Octavius developing some new technology for Oscorp will be coming to fruition, and his presentation of the new technology to investors and higher-ups in the board of Oscorp and to Norman Osborn himself will be coming very soon. This will be labelled as a big event for Oscorp, and Norman knows that Wilson Fisk or anyone or any of his competitors will do anything to sabotage this moment. And just to take precautions to an extra level, Norman will contact his newfound friend in Spider-Man for extra security. Norman will actually offer Spider-Man a good chunk of money to come and do the security for this event. At first, Peter will refuse because being Spider-Man is just his responsibility. However, Norman will insist that he wants to pay Spider-Man. At this moment, we'll get a few flashbacks of Peter with Carly. Carly will be questioning him about his apartment and where he actually lives. And Peter, it turns out, had been lying to Carly this whole time, saying that he actually has an apartment in New York, but he just hasn't taken her yet. But Peter can't keep up this lie for long. He actually does need an apartment. He just never wanted to tell Carly that he doesn't actually own an apartment, and he is actually homeless. He can't crash at Carly's forever. and his job at Frontline isn't paying quickly enough to put down a deposit. So Peter thinks about this situation that he has been put in. Maybe getting paid to be Norman's security every once in a while, maybe it isn't a bad thing. After all, he does need the money. And this little story detail here is very crucial, and I want you guys to keep this in mind when going forward in the series, because this will pop back up in later episodes. Despite feeling pretty tacky about it, Peter still takes the money. It doesn't affect his Spider-Man stuff, and all he has to do is just do security for Norman anyway, which he would have done for free, and, well, he'd just go about his business the same way. So it's fine, he's just getting a little bit of money from it. What's the worst that could happen? Either way, the presentation goes ahead. And as you could probably guess, Wilson Fisk sends someone to infiltrate the presentation. And just as Otto is showing off the arms, a man lashes out trying to destroy them. However, Spider-Man can't react in time, and Otto's neural interface, which allows him to control the arms, actually gets destroyed in the process. Spider-Man manages to trap the infiltrator, however, Doc Ock starts acting weird. Otto is angry and furious. He tries to lash out at the infiltrator, but Spider-Man stops him because he might end up killing him. And this causes a battle between Spider-Man and Otto Octavius. And this is where we finally get a massive battle with one of Spider-Man's greatest foes in this series. Once again, like we've done for most of this series, Spider-Man will have to learn a lesson in combat to make him a better fighter and a better version of himself. This episode, Spider-Man will have to learn to fight with a rageful Octavius with 4 mechanical arms. Even though scientific additives are common among Spider-Man's villains, something like this has never ever appeared in front of Spider-Man before. Norman is also furious and tries to get Ock to calm down, but when he shouts at Otto, it just makes him more angry. Otto tries to lash out at Norman, and Spider-Man tries to stop Ock. Spider-Man saves Norman and takes him to safety, and Otto eventually escapes into the night. Spider-Man makes sure all the investors and all the board get to safety, and we end with Norman and Spider-Man both perplexed at what has just happened. Thank you very much for watching episode 8 in my Spider-Man animated series. Episode 9 will be the second part in the Doc Ock saga. Norman and Peter are going to have to find out a way to stop Otto Octavius. If you are new around here, make sure you're subscribed. Also, make sure to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. It really helps the channel out. Comment down below what do you think about the series so far. And I will see you on Sunday for another episode of Venom Lethal Protector. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.